Today we're going to be doing a restoration of this Birmingham Stove Range number 8, which I believe is a red mountain skillet. This thing is extremely rusty, and we're going to be doing that coming right up. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you again to everyone who's purchased my product, Easy-Beezy Cast Iron Seasoning. The purchase of this product helps keep this channel going, and I just want to say thank you so very much. Now, let's get on into our video. A friend of mine asked me if I was going to be able to restore this pan. It's probably going to be a little bit pitted. We really don't know till we get it clean. There is no seasoning on it whatsoever. It's just rust and caked on dirt. There's no telling where they found it. Looks like there might be a little seasoning left on it right here. I'm not really sure. If there is, we'll deal with that when we get to it. We just want to get all the rust off and just see what we're looking at. This looks like it may be a hand-scribed number 8 right here. It's hard to really tell if it is a hand-scribed number 8. It does have the smaller pour spouts, so it's probably going to be more like in the 40s, maybe late 30s. But really excited to see what this one looks like and see how it turns out. I'll be glad to have the before and after pictures in the end. All we're going to be using at this point is white vinegar. Now, I have great value distilled white vinegar, and it is, I believe, 5% acidity, and we're going to dilute that one more by half. The tricky part about using an acid product like vinegar, the vinegar has a tendency to really eat into the iron. So my recommendation is when you do the vinegar scrub and bath, that you only do it in cycles of 30 minutes at the most. That means soak it for 30 minutes, scrub it and clean it, and if it needs more, soak it again for 30 minutes, probably even less the second round, maybe even 20. And after you clean it and rinse it and you still have little bits of rust, I would probably drop that down again to maybe 10 or 15 minutes, and I would probably stick to the areas that are the most problem. And we're going to talk about flash rust as well, how to avoid having flash rust. Many people have dealt with it. There's a simple, easy fix for flash rust, and we're going to cover that as well in the video. Instead of doing this in the sink, I'm going to go ahead and get a tote out where I can get it in the camera. I will be going back and forth to the sink to rinse it and give it a good clean. Let me get a tote and get our vinegar and water solution going. One thing I do want to mention, the easiest, simplest way to strip cast iron is through electrolysis, but that also entails a power source, an electrolysis tank, sacrificial anodes, a little bit of wiring, a little bit of space. There's a lot to it. Now, if you're a collector who does a lot of cast iron, electrolysis is the way to go. But if you're a user that only cleans a piece every so often, or you run across one piece like this one right here that you want to clean and do a good job, but you don't want to go into all the electrolysis and the lye and all the complicated stuff, this is the simplest way to go. Like I said, if we find out that there are a little bit of seasoning left on this pan, I've got another way that we can take care of that. We'll cover that later on in the video. The simplest, easiest way to clean a rusty pan is a vinegar scrub and some elbow grease. So I'm going to pull the camera down and we're going to take a look at what we're doing and we'll get started. Okay, if you followed my channel very long, you recognize this tote right here. I've also done a couple of other videos where I clean the rust off of a skillet using the pretty much same method as this one right here. Now you can do this in your sink, and you can also make a spray bottle solution and spray your cast iron, and it takes less of the solution. But so that we can get a good video of this, we're going to go ahead and use this big tote. Now, it will use a lot more vinegar because the tote is so large. But if you just sprayed it with a vinegar water solution, with a pump sprayer of a vinegar water solution like we're going to be using here, it will take a lot less vinegar and it will work just as well. But for space and video purposes, we're going to use this big tote. So let me pull the camera down and we'll take a look at what's going on. So I'm going in with my water first. And then I'm going to measure out the same amount of vinegar. I'm going to use this little bucket right here to do my measuring. So we're going with 50-50. And you may want to wear safety glasses. So we are about 50-50. Okay. Now we're not completely covered, but here we go. I'm going to tilt it just so I can get my pan full. We're going to let this soak for about 30 minutes. We're going to start the timer. I'm going to use these little scrubbies. If you want to, you can go ahead and give it a little bit of a scrub to get rid of the surface rust. It'll help the process a little bit. And be careful not to splash yourself. And don't wear good clothes. And give the bottom a little bit of work. I've got a tougher scrubber. This is my tough one. I'm seeing a little black, so we have a little bit of seasoning still there. Also, you can use an SOS pad, aka Brillo pad, same thing. It is a steel wool soap infused pad. We're going to get it soaked and go over it just a little bit just to get it started. Also remember, our timer is counting down as we speak. And if you want to use rubber gloves for this process, you can. I've done it so much that I'm not worried about a manicure. So, you can see our water's really getting rusty. So we're going to go ahead and tilt it so we can get it full. And we're going to finish out our 30 minutes. Okay, it's been 30 minutes, and we're going to go ahead and pull the camera down and give it another quick scrub and wash and rinse it. It's dried around the edges just a little bit. I would like to have had it fully submerged. Probably should have came back and kept it wet. Okay, let's take it to the sink, give it a quick wash and rinse, and we'll bring it right back. Now this is what it looks like after the first time. It's still really rough and pitted. We are seeing some old seasoning on the back side, and we will address that once we get as much of the rust off as possible. We're going to give it another bath in the vinegar. I'm also seeing more of a hand-scribed lettering. So I did use an SOS pad when I did the wash. I scrubbed it really well. And it's going to take some elbow grease. It's not going to clean itself. So there's going to be a little work involved. We're going to drop this back in our vinegar solution. And we're going to get it moist again. If you notice, most of the rust has sunk to the bottom. And I will come in here every so often and moisten my edge. just to make sure I'm getting some vinegar action. So we'll be back in 20 minutes. Okay, it's been 20 minutes. We're going to take this to our sink. We're going to give it a good scrub, and we're going to scrub it with a SOS pad, aka Brillo pad. We'll come right back and show you the results. Okay, we've got it out of the sink, and we're starting to see this is definitely a hand scribed 8. So see if we can dry it a little bit so we can see. Definitely a hand scribed mark. This is going to put us probably in the late 30s, early 40s, even though it does have the small pour spouts. Now we do have quite a bit of pitting on the inside, but I'm telling you, even with the pitting, this thing will still be a good user. And I believe the lady who's going to get it, she loves to cook, and I believe this thing will be a joy for her and her family, and probably even her kids, and maybe even her grandkids. They will remember it belonged to a grandmother. And we'll wipe off the back. We do have old seasoning on the back, and there's no old seasoning anywhere except for a little bit around the edges. And we're going to go ahead and deal with that right now. We may come back to our vinegar tank and do a third dip after we have removed the seasoning. And the way we're going to remove the old seasoning is the yellow cap of the Easy Off oven spray. Now the active ingredient in the Easy Off is lye. And I'm running a little low of the yellow cap, so I'm probably going to use my Easy Off grill cleaner because I'm running low. Now, if you're going to use the Easy Off oven spray, do it outside. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to spray the piece. Now, I'm going to have to do it inside because of the video. In order to carry my lighting and camera outside, it's just going to be a headache. So I'm going to do it really quickly, put it in the bag, and leave the room. So let me get a bag and I'll show you how we get started. Now, I do want to say this. If you're going to be using this Easy Off spray, definitely wear gloves, maybe even a mask. Do it outside or in a well-ventilated area. Also, it wouldn't be a bad idea to put on some safety glasses just to make sure you don't have any accidents. So use extreme care when using Easy Off oven spray. Even if you're cleaning your oven with it, be careful. Don't just get all willy-nilly and just spray. So what we're going to do, we have a black plastic trash bag. I'm going to try to do as much of this inside the bag as I can. We're going to make sure that we spray liberally only on the places where you have seasoning. The inside is good. Now, if you had seasoning on the inside, you'd spray the inside as well. But we don't. We only have it on the back, around the inside of the heat ring, and a little bit on the outside of the heat ring. First of all, let me pull the camera down and you can see what's going on. We're going to try to do this the easy way. We'll go ahead and get our trash bag opened up so we can cover it very quickly. Now, if you have the whole piece and you need to do the whole piece, I would suggest just go ahead and go outside and make sure you're in a good spot. But like I said, for the video purposes, I'm going to have to do this in here. And as soon as I get it sprayed, I'm going to seal this bag up and close it off and let it set. And I'm going to leave the room. So here we go. Shake it well. This is about out, so I'm going to go ahead and have this one ready. Shake it up, because this one's going to be empty in just a minute. I believe it's already empty. Yep, we're out. So we're going to spray it with this one here. Oh yeah, good. We're going to give it a good heavy soak. Really thick all the way around. And this is when we're going to close up these fumes. And I'm just going to tie a little slip knot in this. Fortunately, I didn't get any fumes. I'm just going to let this sit inside my studio. Fortunately, I don't smell any fumes. It's all contained inside the bag. Usually don't work out that well. So we have this bag. We're going to let it sit just like it is. Now, if you're in a cold environment, just to let you know, that lye will work better in warmer temperatures. So if you have a cold environment, especially down in the 40s and 50s, it'll pretty much just go dormant and quit working. So in my house, we're about 72 degrees, so it will work perfectly. 80 degrees would be even better. And if you would like, if you're going to do the entire piece and you really want to get it clean, you can set it outside where you know no animals or critters or little kids can get to it. Spray it down really good, let it stay in the sun, and the bag will heat up and it'll go to 80 or 90 degrees, and that's even better. So, and that will make it work quicker. So we're going to leave this overnight. We're going to come back tomorrow, give it a good rinse, and see how well it worked. And if the seasoning comes off, we're going to do one more dip in the vinegar bath. And if it doesn't, we'll probably do another round with the Easy Off spray. So let's check it out tomorrow. See you then. Okay, we're back and it's been 24 hours. So we're going to pull our camera down and open up our bag and take a look and see what kind of results we have. And don't forget, like I said earlier, you really need to be wearing some rubber gloves at this point. I don't have any rubber gloves, and I've handled this stuff so much, I've kind of gotten used to handling it, but I'm not going to touch it directly. I'm going to grab it with a little metal hook, and we can see that the lye in the Easy Off has worked some magic. Let's see if I can't grab this thing with get underneath it with plastic. And I'm just going to grab it by this little hook. And there we go. I'm going to go ahead and rinse this. According to what I said earlier about it taking off the old seasoning, it done a good job at that. And you can really see, let me get the lighting just right, you can really see our little hand scribed lettering now. Now, it does look a little bit on the rusty side because we did get a little bit of flash rust. I am going to talk about how to get rid of that as well. We don't want to season it on top of the rust because then we'll have a layer of rust under our seasoning and our seasoning can turn loose. But we do have some pitting, a good bit of pitting. And the way we're going to deal with flash rust is we're going to go ahead and rinse it again. We're going to give it a good scrub with an SOS, aka Brillo pad with soap and water. While the pan is still wet, we're going to cover it with oil before flash rust has a chance to take a hold. And once we get it covered in oil while it's still wet, the oil will displace the water on the surface. And then it's just a matter of drying away all of the moisture. And then you're left with a pan with no flash rust, also a light coating of oil. All that you do at that point is wipe away all of the excess that you possibly can and then start the seasoning process. Number one rule in seasoning cast iron cookware, less is best. So we're going to go ahead and give it another good scrubbing, and I'll pull the camera down and show you while it's wet how to apply the seasoning to avoid flash rust. Okay, our pan is still wet. So we're going to, while it's wet, we're going to give it a complete coating with our Easy-Beezy Cast Iron Seasoning. Here my wedding ring snagging it just a little. Now we're not trying to make it look pretty, we're just trying to coat it. Get it completely coated before it dries and before flash rust has a chance. And you can massage it in every little place you can. We want to get it completely covered to displace the water. That way the oxygen doesn't have a chance to react with the iron and cause flash rust. Just massage it in. Now you can use any kind of oil. I'm using Easy-Beezy because I believe it's the best. And we're going to go ahead inside. And if you have Easy-Beezy and you have trouble with the seasoning going back up in the tube, make yourself a spacer. Now, we can put a little pressure on there. So, but Steve, you said less is best. You're putting a lot on there. Absolutely. To avoid the flash rust, it's necessary. And if you don't want to waste your Easy-Beezy, you can use some grapeseed oil, which I believe grapeseed oil is the absolute best standalone oil that you can use. And I currently, if I'm using grapeseed oil by itself, I'm only going to use a good cold pressed grapeseed oil that's not been refined with any chemicals or heat. So there we go. We have a Easy-Beezy crusted pan, but we have no flash rust. So now we're going to go ahead, since we have eliminated any moisture on the surface, we're going to take our time and wipe away all of the excess. And make sure we massage in every little nick and cranny just to make sure we didn't miss anywhere. You may take a few paper towels, and I like to use paper towels on this process. I prefer during seasoning to use a 100% cotton cloth like this one that we're using to lay our pan on. Okay, we need a clean cloth. Nice clean lines around the heat ring. Now this pan was in rough shape. It has been weathered. No telling what it's been through. It's just like us. If we live to be nearly 100 years, there's no real telling what we've been through. Okay. Now look here. No flash rust at all. Never had to worry about flash rust because the water was displaced by the oil, and we have a complete covering before it had a chance to oxidize. This piece is going to be a joy to use. You say that it's really pitted. Don't you think that's going to make food stick? Well, the Modern Lodge is basically a pitted piece of cast iron, and it'll actually receive the seasoning better than it would if it was a really smooth, slick surface. So we're going to wipe this thing down, and we're even going to buff it a little bit. We don't want excess. Any excess oil or seasoning oil or Easy-Beezy on the pan will pool and cause spots and speckles. If you have a skillet that you've seasoned and it comes out splotchy, chances are you left too much seasoning oil on it. Remember, like I said, #1 rule for seasoning cast iron cookware or even carbon steel cookware is less is best. The thinnest layer you can put on there, especially the first time. Put some work into it. You'd be surprised. There's still a lot of seasoning on this pan. A lot of collectors and restoration people will put this thing in the oven, let it get warm to where you barely can handle it, or maybe even with gloves on. Wipe it down again, because as it heats up, the opportunity to wipe more off is there. And then they will go ahead and bake it. So what we're going to do, we buffed it really well. We're going to put this in the oven. I get the best results from 450 to 500 degrees. So we're going to put this in there and let it be at 500 degrees or 450 for at least 30 minutes after it's reached temperature. And then we will look at our pan. We will probably repeat the process 2 or 3 times. And once we've done that, we can start cooking in it. And it will get better every time you cook. So let's put this thing in the oven and we will check it out when it cools off and let you get a look at it. And by the way, many people will say, always put your cast iron in the oven upside down. But if you wipe away all of the excess like you should, it doesn't matter which direction you put it. I have put 20 pieces in there and just stacked them like cord wood, and they done great. So just a little tip there as well. Less is best. Okay, we've got our pan out of the oven and it's starting to look pretty good for the first round. You can't really tell that it has any seasoning on it at this point. And just to let you know, it is really, really warm. I'm having to use an oven mitt. So when I got it out of the oven after the first round, I decided to not let it cool all the way down so that it can be warm enough to apply the second layer of seasoning. So we're going to go ahead and pull the camera down and apply our second layer of Easy-Beezy. So we're going to go ahead and not as much this time as we did last time. Make sure that we get some good coverage and buff away the excess. We want to get the handle really well. After we get it covered well, we're going to go back, make sure we get the heat ring on both sides, go around the outside, and then we're going to make sure we're covered completely, not to miss the handle, and also inside the hanger hole. A lot of times that gets rusty as well. A little bit of Easy-Beezy goes a long ways. And when the piece is warm, the oil seems to flow a lot better. People say the pores have to open up. That's not the case. The pores will not open up. What it does though, when your oil gets hot, it gets thinner and it gets down inside the cracks. Much better. So we're going to buff away as much of the excess as we can. And you can use a paper towel at this point. The only thing is you wind up with little bits of paper towel all over the place. It will burn away. It's not an issue, but I just would rather use a piece of cotton cloth, which is old piece of t-shirt material. I like the 100% because this is so pitted I'm going to double up on the cooking surface just to make sure I get it down in the pits and buff away all of the excess. So we're going to do another round of seasoning at about 500 degrees for a little over 30 minutes. We're going to let it cool until we can safely handle it again, just like we have with oven mitts. Make sure that you don't burn yourself. Now, with cast iron, it's not if you get burned, it's when you get burned and how bad. So be careful, don't burn yourself. If you're going to be using your oven for multiple rounds of adding layers of seasoning to your pan, go ahead and get some of your other pieces that needs a little bit of a touch up. So take advantage of the energy and make your other pieces look good as well. So back in the oven, and we'll be back in just a little bit for round 3. Okay, we've got our piece out, and it's a little bit on the hot side, and I'm having to handle it with an oven mitt, and it's starting to look pretty good. A little bit on the shiny side. We do have quite a bit of pitting, and it's going to take a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and apply another layer of seasoning. So let me pull the camera down so you can see what we're doing. Okay, here we go. A little goes a long ways. We're going to do the inside first and the top of the handle. You'll notice with every application, it takes less to cover it. Okay, that is our inside, and I buffed it to where there's no excess. So now let's do the bottom. And the handle. Let's see how hot we are. It's just really warm. It's not really hot, but that is just fine. Okay. You notice it wipes away a little easier as well after you get a few rounds. So this is really pitted. I'm going to give it a little more in the surface. Okay, back in the oven it goes. Okay, our oven is already at 500 degrees, so I'm going to set the timer for about 40 minutes. It'll give it 10 minutes to get up to temperature and a good 30 minutes to stay at the over the smoke point temperature. So we'll see you in about 40 minutes. Okay, we've got our pan out of the oven and it's starting to look really nice. At this point, you're not going to tell a whole lot of difference as you go. We're just going to add one more layer of seasoning to this pan, and then we're going to be ready to start cooking in it. Technically, you can start cooking after the first layer, but I like to put 3 or 4 layers on there first before I start cooking, just to make sure I have complete coverage. That will also protect it from rust and make it easier to clean up. One thing that seasoning does, a lot of people think that seasoning makes your skillets non-stick. It might help a little bit with the non-stick issue, but the main reason to season your skillets is number 1, to protect it from rust. Number 2, to make it clean up a lot easier. And number 3, it just makes them look a lot nicer. So the nonstick is just a little bit of an added benefit, but it doesn't make that big of a difference. I've actually cooked an egg in a rusty skillet and it was nonstick. So there you go. So let's pull the camera down and put one more layer on this Birmingham Stove Range Red Mountain skillet. And we're going to be ready to put our Easy-Beezy up. What I like to do is where I've kind of gunked it up a little bit, I like to clean it up like that. And we're ready to go back on our countertop. So, back in the oven. Okay, we've got 3 rounds on this pan and it's looking really nice. Still has a little bit of a light bronze hue. Now, all cast iron is different from one pan to the next. Sometimes they will take a little while before they actually turn black. They will have a bronze tint for quite a while. It'll get darker as you use it. But this one right here, after 3 rounds, it looks really nice. The surface, if you can see, it does have some pits, but it's still going to be a really good cooking surface. And it'll get better and better. After a while, a lot of those pits will pretty much disappear as more layers of seasoning covers the pan. Now, if I was planning on just displaying this piece and not using it, I would probably go ahead and put another couple of coats on it just to make it look a little shinier. But this is going to be a good user for my friend, and I believe she's really going to enjoy it. Okay, I hope that you've enjoyed this video and you got something out of it. And if you have, please don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I promise I'll keep more coming. I just want to say thank you again for watching Cast Iron Cookware. Before you go, I would like to share something with you really quickly. In Psalms chapter 51, verse 12, it says, "Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit." I just want to say, share the word and be a blessing.